There we go. Is this like an untoned part of my hair? There it is. All right, hey guys, welcome back. Hey guys, welcome back. So it's been an entire year. Victor has a new gym, a lot more clientele, and a lot more information regarding diets for multiple populations. So we wanted to record a quick video answering some of your questions and hitting some of the information for people's food.
Yeah, I really want to go over the misconception that everybody kind of needs the same caloric intakes, the same type of diets. There's thousands of diets out there and they pretty much all work. The main thing is you got to do them and you got to find out which one's right for you. Alex has a way different diet than I do. Sedentary populations, or everybody. She has a lot of things.
Wrong.
Or different populations, sedentary, pre-diabetic.
What's sedentary?
Sedentary is when people do absolutely nothing. They just sit on the couch, drink soda, eat potato chips.
Like low active?
Low active job where they just kind of sit maybe in front of a computer all day. They go home, don't really do anything, just sit down. So that requires a lot less caloric intake than, say, me, who just hiked 12 hours yesterday.
Oh, brag.
I require a lot more to maintain, but
okay, so sedentarian or whatever it's called.
Sedentary.
Sedentary. Pre-diabetic.
Pre-diabetic.
A general diet.
General diet.
And someone who may have allergies.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the sedentary. How do you say that?
Sedentary.
So, but how many people have actually come in that are sedentary?
A lot. That's usually
really?
the population that's sedentary.
Really?
Yes. I mean, usually once they come to me, they're going to start working out. So it just depends. You can get by on just changing your diet alone and not working out. However, your caloric intake is going to have to be super low and your diet will be super strict, but you can't get it done that way. There's a lot of people that don't have a lot of time, so that might be a better way to go just to get to a healthy weight.
So that would be someone who's like in an office all the time, they've just started with you.
Just started with me, haven't been working out at all, just starting from zero.
And what does that diet usually look like?
A lot of recommendations, so it just depends on what they're into. I usually ask people if they like to be a baker or a chef, and what that means is a chef, I can just give general guidelines, some of the ingredients, and they can kind of go on themselves and be that way. Some people are bakers, which means they need step-by-step instructions, the exact amount of calories, the exact food they're gonna eat, what time they're gonna eat it, and they need a lot of structure to kind of be successful. So I try to lead people more to a chef just because I want people to be in control of their diet, so sometimes you just kind of got to take over and give people the exact way to go.
Okay, and then pre-diabetic.
Pre-diabetic has some different needs, or diabetic for that matter. Now, everybody should pretty much be cutting out most of the sugar, be eating natural whole foods that are minimally processed. When you're diabetic, especially if you have a lot of problems with your blood sugar levels, you should eat a little bit more consistently so you don't have big drops in
so that's every 2 hours.
Energy intake. Yeah, every 2 to 3 hours. 2 hours might be a little bit too soon, but about 3 hours just to kind of maintain a level entry of nutrients into your body, and then be wary of taking in things that are going to give you a big sugar dump like a donut, which is going to go bam.
So the diabetics can't have too much sugar, they have to regulate.
Yeah, you really don't want to take in any outside sugars as a diabetic. Or
can they eat carbs?
Yeah, they can eat carbs. Again, you want to take in carbs that aren't going to take you to big dumps, so something more sustainable like oatmeal or sweet potatoes, things like that, not like sources from like juices or...
Can fruit?
Fruit, yeah, you're gonna wanna go with more tart fruit like raspberries, blueberries, basically all the strawberries, things like bananas and pears probably aren't gonna be the best idea until that stuff gets regulated.
I've heard that a lot of diabetic people or pre-diabetic people do keto because of like the tart fruits, the more fat and less
Yeah, it's gonna completely cut out all the carbohydrates. Taking it fat is very slow digesting and just something that's gonna keep you leveled out.
Interesting. Okay. and then super active people. So this is good because I think I'm super active, but I'm not. Victor would be super active because he did that hike.
Yeah, it just depends on what your life requires of you and what you want to do with it. Most people don't have the time to work out all the time, work out twice a day or work out super hard. It takes a lot of energy, and some people's focus might be somewhere else. Obviously, my focus is fitness, it's my career, it's my life. So I'm working out twice a day sometimes. I'm setting active goals. So my calorie intake is pretty high. I take in...
What is it?
I was about to say. Quit interrupting me.
Sorry.
I take in 3,000 calories. I take in 200 grams of protein, 100 grams of fat, and 100 grams of carbohydrate. And I'm usually tend to still sometimes lose weight on that much intake, which is really regular. I've been very active for a very long time, so my metabolism requires a lot of needs to keep me going.
So someone who's super active, what would you say would be like their daily eating? Like what should that look like to hit the 3,000 to 4,000 calories?
It's a lot of food.
That is a lot of food.
So you're gonna want to portion it out. Make sure you're not waiting till the very end to get all your calories in. I generally wait
clean, right?
Yeah, you want to keep it as clean as possible because of your health and your immune system and things like that. Like my breakfast is generally 8 eggs in the morning. 8 whole eggs. I keep the fat in there. There's a lot of I keep the yolk in there. There's a lot of fat and vitamins in there. And then I'll probably do about half a cup of oatmeal with some chopped up bananas. I like easy and fast, so that's pretty much what I eat every morning. And then my dinner, I usually something like it's either chicken breast or ribeye, sweet potatoes.
You said that's dinner?
Yeah.
What do you do for lunch?
Lunch, it's usually
a handful of spinach and
a bag of spinach. Yeah. No. It's usually like chicken breast, depending on what I'm having. If I'm having like a ribeye for dinner, which is super high in fat, I'll keep my other meats pretty lean. So like 6 to 8 ounces of chicken breast. I like to do a salad, which for me just means getting a bag of vegetables and eating it. And then depending on what my workout consists of, I'll do some rice or something like that. Pretty basic stuff. So
for super active, you're not generally eating like a lot of cheese or yogurts. Like you're eating like almost steel foods, like meats, oats, veggies.
Yeah, you gotta eat like a Viking.
Yes, that's a good way to put it actually. So almost paleo-like, for label's sake.
Yeah, but with a lot more carbohydrates. Just taking in grain. When you're taking in 300 grams of carbohydrates, it's super hard to get it just from, you gotta eat a lot of potatoes.
Like sweet potatoes and stuff
like that. So you definitely want to bring in grains. I am lucky to have a metabolism that I can pretty much put whatever I want in and my body deals with it pretty well. So I have no problems with grains or anything like that, which a lot of people tend to do. I work with a primarily female population, and that seems to be kind of a general problem with some kind of resistance, at least a little bit, to dairy or to grains. Like you.
Yeah. I tell every girl they should get off of dairy and grains.
Yeah, which is usually what I start people off with. I usually say just take out grains, take out dairy, we'll see how you feel after that, and then we'll slowly bring them back in one by one and see how you react to them.
So speaking of that, that's more of like a general diet, you would say, right?
Yeah, a general diet. People are usually going to be depending on their weight and their activity level. When I usually work with people, there's usually start them off at a 1,600 calorie diet.
Which when he gave that to me, I didn't want because I thought that was too high.
Yeah, so most people do it, and usually people aren't eating that much. They're usually eating very little.
Because who argues with the trainer, huh?
Everybody.
Everybody. Nobody wants to do that, especially girls. We don't want to hit the 1,600, but there are ways.
Yeah, there are ways to do that. It takes some getting used to. Usually what I find is people are not eating enough, and then they end up binging on terrible food, like Del Taco and sweets and stuff that are on the run. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your diet.
My general or my allergies? So a year and a half ago, he put me on general, which was, I like to call the bodybuilder diet, which is the sweet potatoes, the rice, the chicken, and the veggies. It worked for like a month or two, and then we started to figure out those rashes that we talked about. I'll put the video here that we talked about the rashes and everything. Those all still came back. So when we did the general, we still kept the diet at 1600, but we had to take out chicken. We took out chicken.
Yeah, after some experimenting, we figured out that...
I actually did vegan, if you really want to know. I did a vegan diet.
Yes.
But it really did work. So this is not what a trainer would probably suggest, but me, like to all my girls, if you go vegan for about a week, you could really kind of find out what's working for you, what meat works for you, what bread doesn't work for you, because your body kind of was already being cleansed with whole foods anyway. So when I did vegan, I was strictly vegetables. I took out, obviously, all my meats and did a cleanse, basically. And so when I slowly moved food back in, that's how I found out the general diet really wasn't gonna work for me, which is when we go into allergies.
Yes, so Alex is super smart, and she kind of figured out what we generally call is an elimination diet, which is basically you
I didn't know that was the label.
Yeah, it has a label. I know you like labels.
Yeah.
It's called elimination. It's called
diet.
an elimination diet. And you basically strip your eating to the bare minimum, and then you slowly add things back in and see how your body reacts to them. Usually you definitely want to add things in, because you can take everything out and you'll feel great, and you'll kind of assume that that's the way to go, but you just probably got rid of the one or a couple things that mess you up. So that's why you want to kind of slowly bring things back in. So that's what we did with Alex.
So with allergies, what allergies do you notice besides like grain and cheese for people that your clients have? Or are those like the main
Those
ones?
are usually the main one. It's some kind of sensitivity to grains. Now, when I'm working with the ladies, there tends to be a lot of issues with stress management, energy management, just the hormone levels going a little crazy.
So what do you suggest for that? That's not an allergy though.
That's not an allergy, but you generally want to take away a high carbohydrate diet and high fat. So through experience and working with that population for so long, I've kind of noticed that, especially if they're not super active, you can generally deal very well on a low carbohydrate, higher fat diet. Why are you looking at your phone?
Well, I had questions that we'll get to in a minute. Like keto.
So yeah, keto. So we found out that works for Alex. Now it may not work for everybody, and generally if you are an athlete or somebody who requires, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of energy or a lot of explosive movement, or you're looking to grow, it's generally not going to be the diet for you.
So yeah, well, let me piggyback on that. So when people think keto, or a lot of people I've talked to, they think that I can eat the burgers and I can eat the bacon, which majority can to kind of jumpstart, but my body still won't respond to that. Like I have to do the keto where it's fish, usually all fish, a little bit of pork, spinach, just all spinach. Like that's what my body will react to, and fish. So that's the type of keto I'll do. Everybody's different. I have friends who can just veg out on like ground beef and a lot of vegetables. I cannot. Like I'm not that type of keto person, which I think is because I am very sensitive to dairy as well. So when I did do my allergy type of diet, I did this dosha test, which I'll put a link right here. Victor thinks it's crazy, but it really works.
Let's say it was crazy.
You for sure think it's crazy. So for my allergy test, or the elimination diet, I took out salt, I took out dairy, I took out chicken, ground beef, coffee, tea, and processed sugars. That's what I did, and my body completely snatched in about 2 days. So with keto, there are different types of keto, or if there's certain allergy type of diet, you have to learn what works for you or what doesn't work, because it's still your body. Like Victor would probably die on my diet, and my best friend does keto, but she still doesn't do keto like I do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's different types, and we tend to want to put a name on things and put it into this box. Another misconception that I do want to talk about keto diets is people think that keto diets are about high fat, and they are not. Keto diets are about low carbohydrate intake.
Yeah, it's not high fat.
It's
like
not
bacon.
like let's go eat all the fat and not do anything with the carbohydrates, and that's keto. You can go into ketosis without having a lot of fat. However, you're gonna feel like crap because you don't have any source of energy. So your fat is just the source of energy. Eating too many carbohydrates will kick you right out, and even going too high on your protein will kick you out of it.
Yeah, that happened to me, and I was in tears for months. That happened to me.
So you have to kind of figure out where your levels are. Again, if you're more active, you can kind of take in more protein, but don't make the mistake of thinking just eat a lot of fats and not pay attention to dropping your carbohydrates really low. And for some people, you can kind of drop your carbohydrates only to 7,500 grams of carbohydrates and you'll be okay.
Like, that's my husband too.
Yeah, and some people like Alex, you have to completely really nail down where your carbohydrate intakes are. It has to be super low, sub 30, sub 50.
Yeah, when I'm deep and I'm really into the game, my carbs, I kid you not, are about 20 grams to 12 grams because I've pinpointed what I can eat and what I can't. But I've also figured out intermittent fasting really helps keto.
Yes, so let's talk about that a little bit.
That's a great way to figure out your allergies too. Because when I do intermittent fasting, the first thing that I put in my mouth, I'll either be testy with it and I'll automatically have a reaction.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So intermittent fasting basically means you're choosing a block of time where you're gonna eat and then you're gonna go for a long time without eating. That's great because it gives your body time to digest the food you're taking in instead of constantly taking food throughout the whole day. It gives your body a big block of time to kind of process all those nutrients that you're bringing in.
I love that.
Also, it helps with keto very well because it gives you kind of almost fasting. It gives you a fasting window where you can kind of really get into ketosis because it allows your body to.
So someone on general diet, could they do intermittent fasting and still benefit?
Yes, yeah, and again, it's not for everybody, but it can help. One, it limits the time where you can eat, so if overeating is a problem of yours, it kind of, instead of restricting your caloric intake in your brain, you can restrict your time, and that'll help. That's like one way to play a trick on yourself to kind of limit your caloric intake. Again, giving your body time to process all the foods that it's taking in for a longer window helps a lot.
I think it's great. It works great for me.
Yeah, so it works good for people. If you're a really busy person and you have a hard time getting food very often, or if you just kind of, sometimes you have lazy mornings and more active afternoons, you can schedule your time blocks there.
I think it's good for moms because we really don't eat.
Yeah, which another thing you got to be careful of is when you do have your block of eating, you still have to eat. You still have to meet your caloric intake needs. A lot of times people set that block, and then when the block comes, they don't eat that much, and now their calories are super low, and they're back into that kind of starvation.
I also read something that there's different types of fasting. Like you can do a wet fast, a dry fast. And I also read that if you keep it under 50 calories, you'll still be in a fasting state.
Yeah, there's different ways. So
I'll drink coffee in the morning. Like I'll sip on the same cup since the time I wake up till 1 p.m. I'll just sip on it so I'm not too crabby.
Yeah, and usually coffee or teas, water, things that won't break your fast. Again, to repeat it again, everybody's a little different, so you kind of got to test it out to see what works for you. And that's just regular coffee, not Starbucks. I really kind of want to put it out there. It's not like you see on TV or on social media. I did the 6-week diet and I lost all this weight and now I'm perfect. Yeah. That's not how it works. Sometimes, hey, if nothing goes wrong and everything is great, it does work like that. However, I've been personal training for 11 years now. I've trained people through back injuries, through knee injuries, through marriages, divorces, work stress, having kids, having miscarriages, through depression, anxiety. Like, these are real people. Fitness is a very important part of your life. Health is very important, but it's a very small portion of your life. And there's a lot of other factors that go. So be prepared to your fitness journey to go up and down and up and down. The main thing is that don't take it so hard on yourself that you quit or you make excuses, but know that there's gonna be hiccups there. You just gotta get right back on the horse and get right back to work and be consistent with everything.
Yeah, and even journal the downs, because you don't even know why you fell down or what went wrong, or like.
Yeah, a lot of times it helps to log not only your caloric intake, but what's going on with your life and how your body's reacting. Your body will react differently when you're under stress, when you can't get your workouts in, when other things are taking up your mind. Fitness is not always going to be at the forefront, but you just got to make sure that it keeps some part of your life so where you don't go too far backwards.
Yeah, and if this helps people, I take a picture every day of my body. It's a little obsessive, but since I won't let myself go on the scale, I take a picture and I put like a note on the bottom while I'll be like stressed out from school or was in finals or I know I ate bad, it's a holiday time. I just put a little note so when I do refer back, I know what went wrong, what I did, what I ate the day before, just so I know.
Yeah, and that's
a little excessive, but if you really have a goal, I mean, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, and that's a great strategy to implement so you kind of know what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and you can make changes in the future to kind of set yourself up. Know your body and your mind and know what things you start to do when you do get stressed out.
Or kind of let it go. Like still work out, but just kind of let it go.
Yeah, so just...
Because sometimes you're not always going to be grinding.
Yeah, sometimes you're not always going to be like super happy, I'm ready to go, I'm going to get this workout in. Sometimes you're going to feel like crap and your workout's not going to feel very good, but the calories that you burn still count whether you were into the workout or not.
So one huge question I get is, what did you do to lose weight? And to be honest with you, I did everything.
She did. She tried a bunch of different stuff. We worked out a bunch of different ways.
Bodybuilding diet, general diet, vegan diet, keto. I've done Herbalife and they've all worked.
Yeah, sometimes they work for a period of time and your body changes and something else goes on, or we find things that work. Maybe the diet wasn't bad, but we found things that worked better. So you just kind of got to get started and
Get started. That's probably the biggest thing. And then log.
What?
Log. Like logging all of it, honestly, logging all of it. Because I even changed where I grocery shop and I've logged the differences of that.
Yeah, you got a lot of times people think they're doing super well and I'm like trying to figure out what they're doing wrong or why they're not having success.
I eat clean.
Yeah, they're like, I eat perfect. And then I'm like, well, just log it for 2 weeks and then they come back 2 days later and they're like, oh, I figured out what I was doing wrong. So logging it.
I ate at 11:30 at night.
Log it. Even if you're not going to change anything, if you are going to stay everything completely the same for now, start logging it. That's usually how I start people off when I start to train them. I tell them, don't change your diet yet, just log the next 3 days so I know where you're at right now.
That's a good strategy. Sounds like you know what you're doing.
A little bit.
Yeah. So if you want to visit Victor, how would they get in contact with you? Because you do nutritional guides too, not just training.
Yes, I do.
He needs an ebook. I keep telling him this.
You can generally contact me at my Instagram, which is at BigFit88, or you can come to my gym, Victory Fitness. It's located at 751 West Main Street in Barstow. So
that is it. If you guys have any questions, let either one of us know. We always say we're going to film more, but we get really busy. So we will try though if we get an abundant amount of questions. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.